friends and listeners of George Fox Talks, hello to you. My name is Brian Doak. I'm a professor of biblical studies at George Fox University. I'm also vice president of George Fox Digital. I have not been one of the hosts for the podcast so far. I've been behind the scenes. I'm kind of like the executive producer of these podcasts. And so I'm making this cameo to basically, I'm making an end of the season programming note because actually that is where we're at. We're at the end of the season. And this is a very short, but we hope still worth it to listen to, celebration of what we've done and a little bit of a note about some things to come. I'm here in the studio with 4 people who are producing this. We have Amy Ralston, who's our operations manager for George Fox Digital. I'm giving her a round of applause, myself personally right now. They're all sitting here like looking at me like, what are you doing? Okay. Caleb Weaver has been really taking point on doing this. Would it be weird? What if you walked out in front of the camera with the camera? Walk out in front of the camera with the camra. See, for people who are watching, if you're just listening, you can't see what we're doing. If you're watching though, you saw Caleb walk out here. We have a new video production specialist, Byron Wong, who's here as well, and Craig Pruitt, who's our director of video production. He's back there, back at the, what is that thing? Back at the production table or whatever that is. Anyway, we're all in here together So let's get to the main point right now. We have done 46 episodes of George Fox Talks, 46 episodes. Many of them were over an hour, which means we probably have like 50 hours plus of just like amazing conversation. We did this with an idea, which is that we would have 4 channels essentially in culture and in theology and in leadership and in wellness. And these areas actually more or less represent some of the main academic areas at George Fox University, but I think they also represent, just like areas that people are interested in hearing cool things about. And we did this with the aim of introducing you to great guests. I mean, we've had high level, like national and international profile level guests like David French and Peter Boghossian and Christine Emba and like many other people. We've also had local people here, professors at George Fox, and it really has been a celebration of great conversation, I think. I listened to all the episodes myself, and I don't know if you as a listener, if this wouldn't be really the first episode you're tuning into, but if it is, you would go back and you would listen to some of those other episodes. But probably most people were checking in with a lot of the different areas, or maybe they had a channel, one of those 4 areas that you checked in with and followed, and that back catalog is there. We are done making episodes for this season, and we're going to take a little break. That's point number 2. So point number 1 is celebration of life. We really did this in these 4 areas. We pulled this off, and we had amazing content. Point number 2 is we're taking a little break. We're taking a little break because this has been intense. Like there are very few podcasts that would put out this many episodes every week in the way that we did. We ended up even having more content than I thought we would have, and so that is just amazing, and it's a testament to the team of people whose names I was mentioning and who are here recording me do this little update. So I'm so proud of them, you guys. I'm so proud of you. Like you guys, I just can't believe you kept up with this. I didn't even know this was going to work, and you guys really just like pulled this off. Which leads to the next point, the next major point, which were those 4 spectacular hosts who basically guided you through these 4 topics in no particular order whatsoever. Daniel Kang in wellness, Abigail Favali in culture, Joseph Clare in theology, and Dave Tussing in leadership. And these are 4 individuals that I all happen to know in some way or another before we started this, but some of them better than others. Some of them I've known for many years, some of them I've known through the university, some of them I've known through church, just different kinds of ways. Now, we have some bad news and we have some good news. So let's plunge into the depths here. All 4 of these hosts, for different reasons and all for legitimate reasons and good reasons, will not be rejoining us for our 2nd season, which will be premiering probably this fall, but let's wait and see. And the reasons are all really different. Again, in no particular order, Daniel Kang has taken on a leadership role at our university in a new way, and you just can't, I think all 4 of the hosts found out, you could email them and ask them, but I think all 4 of them found out that it was a lot harder to host a podcast than they thought it would be. And just getting these guests in and the depth of their networks was so amazing, but it's a lot of work. I hope it appeared effortless or sounded effortless to all of you out there, but it really wasn't. Like they put in a lot of hard work to do this. And so to have a high university leadership position and to be doing this at the same time, really tough. So So Daniel's not able to pull that off anymore. Neither is Joseph Clare in theology, who is an executive dean of the Cultural Enterprise, which is a really big wing of the university. And man, Joseph really crushed it, just like Daniel did, in terms of just the network and the people and the richness of those conversations. I know that many of you out there who are interested in the wellness thing really got a lot out of Daniel's. And those of you interested in theology got a lot out of Joseph's. In fact, I think our number one most watched YouTube video on the YouTube channel, which, by the way, if you're listening to this only on podcasts, we actually have a YouTube channel where you can watch these visually. So if you like watching people talk, there aren't too many other visual extras other than seeing them talk in the studio. But if you like that sort of thing, you should really subscribe to the YouTube channel because you can see them do it. So that's great. I had a thought there. I just lost my train of thought. Whatever I was saying, Joseph has been in here, just bringing in guests from all over the place and doing this kind of thing. And so just so happy he was able to join us from that season. But he has a high leadership position at our university too, and was able to carry it out for one season, but not more. Dave Tussing also is like a major industry figure in his company. You can read his bio in the links that he has on his on the YouTube videos of him. And he pulled it off for us really well. But he was a special acquisition for us. Like we were lucky to have him as we did. But now he has to bid us adieu from the podcast. But some of those leadership things, actually one of the lines I remember the most was from one of Dave's podcasts. And I don't remember who the guest was because it was actually Dave who said it. He was like, you know what the most important questions are in leadership and in life? What are you doing? And why are you doing it? I was like, that sounds really simple, but that's super revelatory because it sort of it snapped me into this awareness in my own life. Like, what am I doing? Like, that is not always even an easy question to answer. Like, what am I doing? And then to go to the depth of why am I doing it? Like, some of the answers I started coming up with too were even kind of scary, like inside myself. Like, why do I do the things that I do? And so anyway, thanks for that, Dave. And, giving us what you gave us in terms of the guests and that year of service on the pod was super cool. And then Abigail Favale is not joining us because she actually no longer lives in the area here. She now works at the University of Notre Dame over in Indiana, and she works for a center there, and she does really what she does best there, which is hosting public conversation there about gender and sexuality and faith, and she's writing, and she's basically a public intellectual, and she's doing that work. And yeah, she could still host the podcast from a distance, and she still loves us all here at George Fox, but life has taken her to new places, and so we release her. But it means we have this new opportunity, which is we're going to have new hosts in here for you for the next season. And we don't have it all nailed down yet. We're talking to some people. We've got ideas. We've got all kinds of things in the hopper. But I do think that I feel confident enough to say it's going to be great. It's not going to be the same people, but it's going to be good in a different way. We might even have a different structure for the show. To be honest, and why not? We're doing a programming note that probably very few people are even listening to. So why not just come out with it and say, we're not even totally sure like how to do the next season, but we're open to doing things a little differently. And in fact, this leads me to an impromptu promise I want to make to you, the listener out there, which is this. If you write me an email, and I will put my email in the program notes and in the YouTube description. And this is if you want to get into this, you got to do what I'm telling you, okay? If you sign up for our mailing list, our email list, and we'll put a link to sign up for that too. It comes out every Tuesday. We release episodes on Tuesday. And so there's also an email list. I think there are over 300 people, a little under 300 people on the email list at this point. And so you're joining hundreds of people who get these emails. So if you're on the email list or if you join it, and then if you send me a personal email telling me what your experience was listening to the podcast, whether you listened to just a few, whether you listened to a lot of them, whether you listened to everyone. I know there are people out there who have contacted me already and just said, oh, wow, I really love this, or here's something I liked. But you're eligible, even if you've written to me before, it doesn't matter. If you write me an email, just give me some feedback. Just give us something. Like, tell us what you liked about the show. Tell us what some of the high points were for you as a listener. Talk about you. You can feel free to be critical too. That's totally okay with me. I can handle it 1,000%. Like, was there something that didn't work for you? Something that you thought dragged or was slow or didn't work? You can totally tell me that. I will listen to it no matter what it is. I will thank you for it, and you will get, if you email me, we're gonna send you a free George Fox Talks T-shirt. And the production people are looking at me right now because they're like, what? Do we have those? I just made that up right now. I just made it up. And you can email. Craig, if you're on the email, if you're on the list, Craig, you got to sign up on the list. Oh, yeah. If you're on the list and you send me an email, I'll send you one. We don't have the shirt yet, but we're going to make the shirt. The shirt is being made. It might have the George Fox Talks album cover on it. That would be the simplest concept, I think. We do not conditions and exclusions. I do not promise that this is going to be a great t-shirt. Like, this might be a poor quality t-shirt, but it will be a t-shirt. In the email, you have to tell me the size too. Tell me the size. Tell me the size. 1 t-shirt per person. Okay, that's the price we're willing to pay for this. So if you send me that email and just tell me in any way that you want, it could be a paragraph, could be a few sentences, but tell me in some substantive way what your experience was listening to the podcast, what you listened to, what you liked, and why. And you could even include what kind of things you'd like to see in the future. Like, what if we did a season that had some kind of, I don't know, theme or story arc? What would you want that to be? What if we came up with new channels or new ideas? Like, we had those big words, right? Like theology, leadership. Like, if there were other words that you wanted to add to that, what words would you want those to be? If you wanted us to keep the old words, which of the words would you most definitely want to keep, okay? Stuff like that. Those are just prompts, but you can write in any direction that you want. And if you do, and if you, I should also mention, you have to provide a physical mailing address for the shirt. We can't email you the shirt, okay? If you have a 3D printer, I don't think you can 3D print the shirt at your house. That would be weird. We can't do that. We don't have that technology. We don't know what that means. But if you give us a size, and if you give us an address, we will send you a free t-shirt for that feedback. So we'll pay you for it in that sense. And we want to give it to you as a thank you gift too for listening and for caring. And so I feel motivated to offer that. And that's now a new project that we have here on the podcast is we have to get that t-shirt and there'll be designs and we'll think of it, but it's going to be really cool. We did 46 episodes and we started, I think last October. Is that right, Caleb? Did we start last October. And we carried it all the way through. Basically, our last episode is coming out the week before you hear this. So whenever that is, you can look back at the dates on the podcast or on YouTube and you can see. And we covered a lot of ground and there was just some good stuff. And so who knows, maybe during the break we'll reissue some things and kind of just to remind you that we're still here or to help those who maybe signed up or got into it later to remember some of the oldie but goodie kind of episodes that we did way at the beginning. Those are still good as well. Probably this studio, this is the studio, if you're watching this is the same studio that we were in. We're probably gonna redesign the studio in some way, just, for fun, to just give it some kind of refreshing look. So when we come back, you'll probably see a new visual culture around the show. And so we're really excited about that. I think most of all, I'm excited to hear thoughtful conversation about faith, about politics, about history, about theology, about scripture, about bodies, about education, just about really anything that we're going to be able to find to cover. And I'm excited about it because, like a lot of you out there probably, I feel nervous and discouraged about the state of normal adult conversation in our country and in our world. Like, it just feels strange. I read today, for example, one morning, email newsletter I get, like a news kind of thing, had a survey. Kids are going back to college right now. The campus here at George Fox is buzzing with activity. And there was a survey about college students saying, I think like 60% of college students said that they absolutely would not be a roommate with someone of the opposite political persuasion. Like, they just wouldn't do it. Which is kind of, it's sad in a way, because it's like when I went to college, I'm not that old, I'm 42 years old, so it's not like I'm some ancient person, but I'm not super young either. But when I went to college, I thought the idea was you went to college and it was like you wanted to be a roommate with someone who was totally weird, totally different from you. And the idea is that you'd meet new people and do different kinds of things. And I don't know if it's, I don't know what the commentary is here culturally, like whether we live in such a divided time that people are afraid of conflict, or that, students are like, I'm so nervous to go to college after COVID now. I don't want to have to deal with a roommate who's like bombarding me with but like, just think about that as a state of conversation and relationality and belonging in our country and the polarization that we've experienced. I also saw in the same survey, maybe more understandable in a way, I think it was like 73% of people said they wouldn't date someone who had a really different political persuasion than they did, which kind of makes sense. It makes more sense to me than the roommate thing, I think, maybe, but who knows. At any rate, we've hoped in some way that as a university, George Fox University, that we could play some role in helping to foster really great, open and thoughtful conversations in a time of polarization. And I think in some ways, some of our episodes that we did were like two like-minded people talking shop. And we did a lot of that. And is that really helping us bridge the gap of polarization? No, not really. But we did have some conversations with some people who were controversial in their own right. We had some conversations with people whom maybe as listeners you wouldn't have normally listened to or agreed with. And hopefully in that exercise, in a controlled environment of respect and of thoughtful conversation, we can begin to learn how to talk to each other and how to listen to each other. And of course, for those of us who are Christians, we learn by doing that how to listen to God, and we learn how to relate, and we learn how to pray. And I hope that this podcast plays some role like that in your life if you're listening to this. So reach out to us, get a free t-shirt, hang in there. We're going to be coming back at you with new episodes, new themes, and with new people very soon. And we'll provide updates for everybody who's on the email list with how that's going to look and when. So please sign up. We're going to provide a link somewhere. There are going to be links below this on YouTube, or if you're listening on a podcast, there'll be links in the program notes about how to sign up. Mostly you can go to georgefox.edu/talks. That's georgefox.edu/talks. And our newsletter host sign-up thing is available there as a pop-up. And you can see all of our past episodes and all of the various podcast places and video places where we've put things out. So that can serve as a home base for you. We're so grateful that you've listened. We're so grateful that you've hung with us and tuned into some of these episodes. And we promise good things to come. So I'll leave you with that.